Happy Election Eve. Election day this year is a little weirder than usual and a little more interesting than usual, because this year in politics, the most interesting fights going on around the country are not Republicans versus Democrats. They, of course, are Republicans versus other Republicans. For example, the number 2 Republican in the U.S. Senate, Texas Senator John Cornyn, is a powerful incumbent senator who's facing re-election next year. But the latest potential challenger to emerge for John Cornyn's Senate seat is not an up-and-coming Democrat who wants that seat, but rather this guy.
And whether that killing is through abortion or drugs or suicide or anything else, you open the door to killing. It's got a lot of different manifestations, but that's the problem. If you choose leaders who say, oh, I support killing, come, we've opened the door to all of it. A door has been opened, and we have said, you know, we embrace a wicked policy. Okay, then I'll take my hand of protection off your nation, and whap, here comes storms like we've never seen before, and here comes floods and here comes the climate stuff that we can't explain, all the hot times and all the cold times, and too much rain and not enough rain, and we're flooding over here, and we got droughts over here, and today we're saying, oh no, it's global warming. That's what, no. We opened a door that lost God's protection over our environment, and that's our choice.
So global warming is real and caused by mankind, by our choices, but not the way you think. Global warming is actually caused by abortion. Wow. And that's the kind of thing that lands you on the website Right Wing Watch all the time, because you, David Barton, are an amazing thing. David Barton, the abortion causes global warming guy, promises that he is a historian, that he has thoroughly looked into these matters. The former Fox News host Glenn Beck is already calling David Barton senator. He can barely contain himself. He wants him to run against John Cornyn so bad. So who knows? Abortion causes global warming guy. He could, in Texas, unseat, this guy could unseat the second most powerful Republican in the Senate. That was the news just today from the Republican Civil War, and the Republican war on its own incumbents. And every day is a new amazing story that way about the way the Republicans are attacking themselves. But it's not all just promises. It's not all just frothing at the mouth and exciting Glenn Beck about what might be someday. Sometimes it's real concrete action and elections, and tomorrow we're actually going to know the result of one of these fights in Alabama. The fight in Alabama is between these 2 Republicans. They're in a runoff to fill a congressional seat. The guy on the left is Bradley Byrne. He's been in public office for a lot of years. He went to the University of Alabama's law school. He served on the State Board of Ed. He was a state senator for 2 terms. The guy on the right is Dean Young. He is a business guy, and he is the Tea Party guy in this Republican on Republican contest. The Guardian newspaper recently posed some basic getting-to-know-you questions to these 2 congressional candidates. For example, who is the current Treasury Secretary? Bradley Byrne has a little trouble with it, but he gets there eventually. He says, is it Jack Lew? Yes, it is. Dean Young cannot get there. He says, it was Paulson. Is it Tim Geithner now? No, it is not Tim Geithner now. They ask, who's your political hero? Bradley Byrne says, Winston Churchill. Pretty out there. That's a foreigner, as you know. Dean Young, for his part, says Judge Roy Moore. Judge Roy Moore is the guy who got thrown off the court for putting up the 10 Commandments in the courtroom. Yeehaw. Next question. Who is the Republican whip in the House of Representatives? Which, of course, is the institution that these guys are running to join. Mr. Burns says the Republican whip is Kevin McCarthy, which is true. Dean Young says, quote, I don't know. Eric Cantor? Is that who it is? No, that is not who it is. This was a real hard one. Do you think gay people can feel the same love for one another as straight people? Bradley Byrne says yes. Dean Young says, quote, when you start talking about that, I don't even know. Homosexuality is wrong, and that's just the way it is. Always has been, always will be. They saved the stumper for last. Where was President Barack Obama born? Mr. Byrne says he was born in Hawaii. He has produced a birth certificate. Dean Young says, that's what I call the $64,000 question. I have no idea. When pushed for an answer, he said, Kenya. In this Republican versus Republican race in Alabama, guess who's leading into the polls heading into tomorrow's voting? If you guessed the Kenya guy, the who's Eric Cantor guy, the who's the Treasury Secretary guy, you would be correct. He is ahead in the most recent poll in this congressional race by 3 points. Republican on Republican fights are always amazing, but tomorrow is going to be really amazing. I hope you plan to stay up with us late tomorrow to watch these results come in.